I am super excited to have today's guest here with us today. I have Dr. Tamara White. I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our listeners.
Oh, wow. I am grateful to have the opportunity to be here. Anytime I can get a microphone and share what I do, I love it, love it, love it. So I'm Dr. Tamara White. I am a burnout and stress management life coach. I'm also a licensed professional counselor, an author, and a speaker. And I just have a passion for supercharging women to live their best lives, really. It doesn't matter what the topic is. I say I'm a burnout and stress management life coach, but I can handle anything that's out there. I deal with women leaders and entrepreneurs because I know in the space of being a business owner, it can get really, really tough. I've been there, and so I've worked through it, and now I am here to share my story and help all of the beautiful ladies. I'm not mad about men. I can work with men too, but my preference is to work with the women.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And we are so aligned in the women we serve and how we're trying to empower and lift women up so that they can contribute and live at their best life and at their best levels, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you have your book, you have a bunch of stuff, you're speaking, all of this. You have this idea called the courageous woman. Talk to me about the courageous woman.
Yes, in fact, you can't see my shirt, but I have on a shirt that says, and I am a courageous woman. That platform started because I had to make some courageous moves in my life. And I began to think when I started really beginning to get serious about coaching, what direction would I take it, Jessica? So, making those courageous moves as a woman is where we stand, how we move, how we get to the next step, as wives and mothers and caretakers. It takes a lot of courage to do anything these days. So I really breathe the word courageous. And I just really think that that's where it all begins, to make those strides in our lives. And that's just kind of how I started. Didn't think about it until I went through it and I had to put a name to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that our life stories and our life experiences shape how we show up and give our light to others. And I love that. I love the adjective. I love courageous women. I want all of us to step up and be courageous in our own lives and in designing lives and a world that work better for all of us.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Tell me what makes it so hard for women to step into their lives in this way?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I get asked that a lot. Some days I ask myself that because I'm still on that journey. By nature, as we know, women are nurturers and caretakers, and I'm not saying it's 100% because I've met women who don't feel like they have that part of them, but we've got to get everything taken care of first before we feel like we can step into what it is that we want. And what happens, days, months, years go by. I remember talking to a woman one time, just to give you a caveat. She broke down when we had our conversation. She said, I asked the question, how long have you had this idea, this dream? And she said, for 20 years. And she had not done anything with it. She was safe where she was, but that in her heart, she wanted to take a move, but she just was so stuck. She didn't know how to do it. So she was saying no to herself. And I think now we have to give ourselves as women permission to say yes, that it's okay if the dishes are still in the sink when we go to bed. I mean, it really, those kind of things can really tear a woman's mind up if it's not done right, the perfectionism that comes about. And that is what keeps us really stuck in our tracks, Jessica, really moving on and doing the things that we're really called to do and be.
And I so resonate with that. I do. And I think women and men, everyone is walking around with this dream inside them, with something their heart is calling them to.
Yes.
It can be very scary.
Yes.
To step into that. And there are a lot of additional burdens or mental weight on women to carry a lot of things. And so we do tend to self-sacrifice our dreams and ambitions.
That's right.
To care for everyone else.
That's right. That's right. I think, there's a time and a place for it, of course. If we can just really step down for a minute. What happens, we're also super busy. We're supercharged. Our battery is on 100%. The other day I heard of of some type of medical thing where a person's body is not really resting, even though they're in the bed sleep, but they wake up and their body is not resting. So it's really becoming somewhat of an epidemic. And how do you step away from that? That's what I'm good at, is helping women to really figure out things and how to prioritize. Everything is important, but really what's important.
Yeah.
Why
do we need women or anyone to step into the space of dreaming and designing a life that they love?
I find people in general, because in my life as a therapist, of course, I work with tons of families, men, women, all kinds of issues, and we're all the same when it comes to that. We just really can't figure it out sometimes. Some of us just need someone to bounce some things off of, to validate, and not necessarily to validate me as a person. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes to validate that my ideas are in the right vein, or to give me another ear, because if I just keep listening to myself, I'm getting the same message, and the definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing. So I want someone to step in. And for me too, I have people that I go to. I have a coach also, because I don't want it just to be on my own brain and my bandwidth, because your experiences, Jessica, are different from mine, and we can collaborate. I remember when we had a conversation, we found out we had something similar. I think your husband's birthday was my birthday. That kind of thing just kind of embellished the conversation. And you walk away and you feel like, okay, someone heard me, because I really want someone to listen. I really want to be heard, and I think that's important to women.
Yeah, I go back to that a lot in my work with women leaders. Is we all want, whether we're the leader or we're the person on the team, we all want to be seen and heard.
Yes.
Right. And valued.
Yes, that's it right there.
And it goes back to who we are at our core, but it also goes to what you were just speaking about, how we are all connected and interconnected with one another.
Yes, yes.
And that's the validation that we belong and are valued as humans.
That's right. That's right. When someone dismisses you, or that whole dismissal thing, or not kind, it does something to you. You feel some kind of way, and it kind of can take you down unless you really are sure who you are and find someone to help you get up off the floor again. So you're absolutely right in what you just said.
So can you give our listeners an example of someone you have worked with, or someone at their starting point to maybe where they end up, or what their ideal might be, so that people understand that transformation?
Yeah. So I have multiple stories, lots and lots, but the one that I'm thinking about now that just came up, a woman who was an educator and really was good in the education part, but had some kind of low self-image. Just wasn't able to stand up and be bold and the whole courageous thing. And so was having trouble standing up in the workplace, when she felt something or wanted to speak up and speak out, just felt intimidated. And so we worked on what that would look like. How would that feel if you could say the things that you wanted to say to your boss, even though you're a boss where you are, but then you've got to go up and speak. And she said, I just can't do it. I can't. Something's going to happen. They're going to think this of me. And what if I stumble on my words? So it was a lot of that going on. So we just really worked through that. I like to find the root oftentimes. Where is that coming from? Because we can go in, and I'm very good. And I call myself, I forgot to say, I call myself the divine disruptor, because I will help you disrupt the patterns and the habits that have plagued you. And so that title was given to me by someone. And I said, you know what, I'm going to claim that, because they said, you're so good at doing that. So I walked through it with her, and it stemmed from a lot of stuff. So me being a therapist and a life coach, if you will, I marry those together so I can kind of push a little harder. And so we found out some stuff had happened, years ago, childhood stuff, and we kind of went through that, but not in a therapeutic way, just kind of, because I don't blend. I want the audience to know that is unethical. I don't blend my therapy and my coaching. It's just my skill set is there. And so we were able to get through that, Jessica, and empowered her to have those conversations with the person that she really needed to have it with, because she saw this person every day. The person was pushing on her, and she was finally able, and I helped her to learn how to take breaths, maybe plan it out, the conversation, kind of have some strategies on what she was going to say, because the behavior this other woman was imposing on her was the same every day. So we was able to, what would you like to say to her to help have her stand down off of you? What would you like to tell her about who you are? Because you're a professional here too. And so we worked on that. It took a minute, we took a while. It was no rush. We just took a while, and we practiced. I played, I did the role play. Let's just act like I'm this woman at work that gets on your last nerve. And so we worked on that. And then surprisingly, I didn't give her a timeline. It's just like, surprisingly, the next time or two, she said, guess what happened? I said, tell me all about it. Give me the tea. And she's
That's
like,
right.
I did it. And the woman was like, oh, and she said, I did it. And I felt so good and so empowered. And she still sends me notes periodically saying, I'm on that good track. Thank you so much for empowering me to do what I needed to do. I just needed someone to walk through it with me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love the divine disruptor.
Thank you.
Because what it does, and you just ended your story with it, is it disrupts the stuckness. It disrupts the stories that we tell ourselves again and again in our head.
Absolutely.
And when we can disrupt those, it empowers us to step into our lives more fully, to show up more fully, which is what she ended up doing.
Yes. So proud of her.
And it does take so much courage to do that.
It does.
It takes a lot of courage to step into that
space. It does, because she began to say yes. And that, people do get stuck, and they don't want to, they know they need to take the courageous steps, but they're so fearful, they're plagued with a lot of fear and doubt. And so, sometimes you just have to work through all that. Even people that just, you wouldn't even know it, but on the inside, it's there.
I mean, I will raise my hand. I do this work. I help other people do this work, but I still have to do it for myself every day, right? Yes. Like, this is not a one and done skill set. This is I like to think of it as, it's a toolbox.
Yes.
Of strategies that I can go to when I'm stuck.
That's exactly. I push myself to do stuff. It's like, oh, I really want to do that. Don't feel up to it, don't want to, whatever it is. And then, there's all that self-talk, and then, you get back on the track, because, both of us have the skill to do it, or I may make a phone call and say, hey, push me to do this call, or whatever it is I need to do.
Well, that's the piece of having those accountability partners in your life.
That's it.
People that will hold you to what the person you said you wanted to be.
That's it.
Right. And that's what coaches are really good for. It's what they're,
that's
there are so many people that I think sometimes we're afraid to ask people to help us in those ways. But everyone's looking for people to help in those ways.
They are. They're out there all the time, asking, looking.
Yeah.
They are. I see it all the time. People snuggle up to me at different things and just say, I really would love to talk with you about such and such. And I did some speaking a couple of weeks ago, and, afterwards, I mean, there was all kind of sidebar conversations.
Yeah.
Love what you said. I need the help in that area. Can you help me? I have a friend, or it's just a bunch of stuff that goes on. I was excited because I was just like, that's my jam. Yeah, let's just talk. Yeah. Let's get in there. But yeah, it was just the power of showing what you just said, how many people really resonate with that they need help.
Yeah. Let's fast forward to, this is my favorite question to ask folks who come on the podcast. If we could fast forward to some date in the future, where, and we'll do this for our conversation, where women are showing up courageously, where people are empowered to follow those dreams and ambitions that have been planted in their hearts. What does our world look like?
Wow, that's a pretty powerful question. What does our world look like? It looks to me of a kinder, a kinder, gentler world where we are really living in the purpose-filled world where we're all in our lane, where I'm not jealous of what you're doing, Jessica. You're not worrying about what I'm doing over here. I'm not comparing myself because we're giving to the earth, we're giving to the world our gems and our jewels of who we are. So I'm going to celebrate. Oh God, look at Jessica, she's on a move, or look at Mary, she's on the move. I love what she's doing. And I'm celebrating you, not being all jealous about what you have and wishing I could do what you do, because we can't. God made us individual with our own gifts and talents. So a better world, a kinder, gentler world where we're all focused on the common good of common man, the goodwill, just goodwill of common man. You know, that's stumbling on my words, but just goodwill, not worrying about other things or what my neighbor is all about, what I'm doing, what am I pouring into the world. And then our families are stronger because there go I. If I'm stronger, my family is stronger. My first commandment is to deal with what's happening in my home and then go out. So if my home is raggedy, I can't go out on stages, telling other people stuff, because I've seen that happen before too. I'm like, I know that story. That's not true. I don't know. Jeez. But just a kinder, gentler world where we're all focused on our own path and serving others.
I love that. That feels really good to me. Can we go to that world now, please?
I would love to. I wish we could fast forward in what they used to say, in a nanosecond.
That's right, a nanosecond. That's right. So how do we get from today to that world? What does that road look like for us?
It's self-sacrifice. It's taking ourselves off of pedestals. I see so much of that. Everyone's on a pedestal, putting others before ourselves. And the whole term of serving others is not to be taken lightly. It is to put people before you in the good sense of the way, not to be a doormat. But is it important that, someone stepped in line in front of me and I've got to go blast them out and knock them in the head? I mean, really, just, hey, that's where they are. They just skipped the line and got in front of me.
Right.
How hard is that to do? But that's a big question. And I always think it goes back to home, but I know home looks different now. And many people aren't getting the basics. There are no basic skills being taught. As a former educator, we had a life skills class. I mean, just to teach people life skills. So I think it's one by one. I do my part out here in the streets, as they say. I know you do your part, and I think that's the way it works. We just do our part where we're planted.
Yeah. I want to dig a little deeper on something you just said, because it hit me to where I was like, "Ooh, I want to know more about how this could look." Because home structure is so different, and because honestly, school structure is a lot different than it used to be as well.
Right.
How could public education, could it fill that hole? How could it? I mean, the life skills class, talk to me about what that covered, and if that is is that a step toward equipping people to be able to live courageously?
There's so many components there because, I was an educator. Life skills being taught. We also talked about there's a lack of financial courses in middle and high school, the secondary level. So a lot of those things could be implemented just to teach, because it is a different world. Some kids are growing up and they don't have parents. They don't have a strong foundation at home. I worked with a lot of kids in my time, and it was even that way 20 years ago, and it's even worse now. Providing the best that you can. The school cannot do it all because of the mandates. And that's why you have the homeschoolers and you have the other types of schools that are trying to fill the gap. But quite honestly, it still has to come from a home base some type of way. Um, and what do you do about that when the world is so different now? And that's why I said we just have to plan and do what we can where we are. Perhaps someone will hear a word. This week, I get an opportunity to go to speak to some teen moms. So I get a chance to still do what I do, but in a different way. And so I'm looking forward to an opportunity like that. So to answer your question, doing in my pathway that came up from my pathway. So I get a chance to pour into these young girls. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Right. And that becomes that becomes a supplement for what happens at home. So exactly. I think it goes back to what you said a few minutes ago in that we can serve one another by just showing up in a way that allows other to live courageously and understand what that even means.
That's right.
That's at the home level, but it's also at the neighborhood level, and it's at the school level, and it's at the church level, and all those different places that we navigate throughout our lives. We can influence and help through service, through sharing our light.
That's right.
Other people show up in ways that maybe they're scared to do right now.
Yes. I'm telling you, I look at it like I carry a light. I'm carrying a light wherever I go. Don't know who I'm going to bump into. And it's not always conscious. It's just who I am, what I'm made of. I'm walking and doing my life. I got to go to the post office or go to a grocery store. Something could happen there where you have a conversation, or I've let people get in front of me. I had a basket full. They had 3 things. Those kind of moments really make a difference. I've had people say that. You probably have too. That said, your smile, your act of kindness, or you let me get in the line in front of you. People you just don't know what's happening in their lives now, because it's something out here. It is crazy out here right now.
Right. I love that visual. I was sitting here like picturing as you were telling those stories. Like I was sitting here picturing you in line at the grocery store with a candle.
Yeah.
And right, like literally we can shine light in other people's worlds.
Absolutely. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a mission of mine, but it's really who I'm made of, to just be that type of person, to carry the light. And maybe, one person takes a light, it's almost like at Easter and Christmas where you light the lights in the church at the holiday time, and you just carry the light. It really means something to be kind, and to help people to know that it's going to be okay. And you can be courageous. It could just be a little bitty thing. You could just pick up the phone. Maybe it's a phone call somebody needs to make. I tell people courageous moves can be anything.
Yeah.
Well, and it goes back going to the gym in the morning when you don't want to go. That's a courageous move.
That is a courageous move. That is a courageous move. It goes back to, and again, I have the light visual, but that light goes back to what you said at the beginning, where we all want to be seen and heard and valued, right? And that light allows us to show other people that we see them. Even if it's just that grocery store line.
I'm telling you.
Even if it's the kind word or the Starbucks pay for the next person, all of those little seemingly small acts are shining your light into other people's lives and into their worlds.
Oh, I love that too. I feel that so deeply in my soul. That's what would be the change conduit, as you asked, that would be where we're focused on the common good of man versus trying to do a one-up and be on top, and all the little people just get nothing. So I'm pleased by this conversation. This is all working together for our good.
Yes. Okay. So what one thing could you share that our listeners could do today or this week? Something simple to help them live a little more courageously or step into that courage for themselves.
I challenge anyone that's under the sound of my voice to find 30 minutes, because I know it's a stretch to find an hour, and 15 is not long enough, but to find 30 minutes and to go somewhere where you're not going to be bothered, and put on, and I always say some silent music, but some people may not want that. Sometimes it's distracting, but where they can have quiet space to meditate and with a tablet and to write out what they see for themselves just for this year. I don't want to get people too overwhelmed, like, well, what's your 10-year plan? But
Right.
how do you want 2025 to resonate for you? Where are you going to show up? What is important to you at this point in your family? What are your goals to finish strong? We're only in the second quarter of 2025, so there's a lot that can be accomplished. Did you want to start the cooking class? Did you want to lose 10 pounds? Did you really want to, start your own company or some type of thing, go into the entrepreneur space? Did you want to relocate? I've heard people talk a lot about relocating and what that would look like. Figure that out and then do the work behind it. If you could just write it in 30 minutes, I don't care if you just take a sheet of whatever kind of paper you could find out of your copier, your fax machine. It doesn't have to be all cute and fancy, but I love when you write it with your own handwriting. I think it's so important to see your own handwriting because you're putting it in, versus typing on Microsoft Doc. When you're writing your own handwriting, you start to see, oh yeah, this is what I really want, 30 minutes of quiet time. So, okay, parents, okay, here we go. I'm a parent, but my children are grown. But I know when they were small, we had some conversations about when the doors were closed or we set timers, figure out what resonates with your kids now. And because so teaches them too. Maybe they could be doing the same thing while you are, especially if they're older kids.
I love that. Yes.
They can go right. Because listen, I have grandchildren. They got dreams. They're telling me all about their stuff. And they're 12 and they're young, but they tell me all the stuff that they have dreams about. So write it down. And then we can have a conversation. Then you can know what to do next. You can hire me, first of all. I can help you with the rest of it. But other than that,
but you have to know what you want first.
You have to know what you want first. Yeah. Right. And deep down inside, people know what they want. I kid you not. Everyone knows what they want.
Yeah. And I love the direction to write it down, to handwrite it, because it is a way of connecting the mind with the heart.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you are owning your words when you are writing them down.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I tell all my clients to do that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your light with us today. Everyone go off and spend your 30 minutes. Carve out some time. Block it on your calendar now for the next week. Find your 30 minutes.
That's right.
Go write what your heart's asking you to write.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Tamara. Do you have any last things you want to share before we jump off here? Anyway, how can our listeners find you?
Well, everything is going to be on my website. It's TamaraWhiteCoaching.com. Okay. And I have a tab for programs. I have something, a freebie really is for overwhelmed women that they can fill out this self-guide and kind of do their own self-audit. There's some articles and things under my programs, but it's all on my website, TamaraWhiteCoaching.com. And of course, I'm on all the platforms, but just start there and you can figure it out after that.
Wonderful. And we'll put that link in the show notes as well for all of you to find.
Thank you. Thank you. And LinkedIn, of course, that.
Oh, yes.
All platforms. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you again for coming and sharing a little of your day with us and your light with all of us.
What a joy. Thank you. It's my privilege to share.